morning. I've got a message here for somebody who's trying to find where they fit or find their lane, who comes from a background where they never really felt connected within themselves, in the sense that they didn't have like their gifts nurtured, and there was a lot of fighting around them. So this person grew up in fight or flight. But yeah, we all have gifts. It's just that some of us either get raised by people who don't know, how to nurture them, or maybe they don't see them, or sometimes they do see them and then they try to like exploit them. So let's see what we got in the cards. Now, the reason why I think inner child work comes up so much, I got eternal child and divine child popping up. It's not so much because it's good for people to sit in the past, but the people that raise us, they have a huge influence, obviously, on our development, and it can often be like the tying it into mental health. Sorry, words. Hopefully you can understand and read between the lines, because I'm just going to be pulling whatever words come into my brain out of my mouth. But yeah, it's just they give us the messages that we need to deconstruct in order to do shadow work. So yeah, this isn't about being weak in whatever way. Like, I know it can feel embarrassing and feel like you're being dramatic or like attention seeking if you're not used to looking at these sort of things. You could be completely repulsed by it, and if so, maybe you haven't made it this far. But there's something that you got passed down along the lines of it's about around a lack of effort and relying on luck, but I don't really get the sense that it's to do with like physical employment. I think it might be an emotional thing, which makes sense because if there was no one there, it's highly unlikely that your parent also had someone to nurture their gifts and then just like didn't nurture yours. I mean, it's possible, but I am getting the sense that this has been going on for a long time. But regardless of whether or not your guardian, your parent, felt like they were doing the right thing or like was doing what they knew to do, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you and that you're not in need of healing, right? Yeah, it's failing to care for oneself. So that's where the exclusion of effort, and maybe there's more of a focus on like gaining of financial or physical material wealth or trappings in order to like ensnare people, and maybe there was more like control tactics taught as opposed to nurture and connection. Yeah, and getting a lot of shadow work. So with the rescuer card, there's this assumption that the rescued would reciprocate. So I believe that you've been taught that if you do certain things, that other people will respond in a certain way. And so it can be frustrating because instead of using consent or like direct communication, or what people call social skills, it's more of like an arrangement. You're trying to arrange your life in such a way and arrange the people around you in such a way that you will get your needs met, because deep down you don't believe that you have enough worth. And there's an addiction to self-pity. I know that sounds kind of like harsh, but more just like you're comfortable. That's your mode, is that you just don't feel really good about yourself in the sense that you haven't been built up like that. So I'm in the library, so there's people walking by and you see me look up. So if you've made it this far, this is a collective reading, but we're 3.5 minutes in. A lot of people tune out really quickly. But if you made it this far, I'm just going to ask Spirit for some direction for things, steps that you can take, spiritual transformation. And so that's just, a rewiring of your underlying and base motives in order to fit into a collective consciousness. But there's anxiety in reverse, and the Empress and 4 of Cups. So developing an appreciation. So it's just like, think of your brain as muscle, and they're not the same cells, but similarly, there's just different parts of your body. Like the more you use it, the stronger or weaker they get if you don't use it. So it's not like some woo-woo quick fix, but if you can try, and if you have any safety or spare energy or spoons, to focus on the things that feel good and nurture you and nurture your community. Creativity, any of those things, and anything outside of the fear, the worry, I'm really getting a deep sense of fear of not being good enough, fear of not being enough. That will bring you clarity and move you out of this Five of Cups energy, which is full of grief, into, oh, you also need to go outside. You know it's cold out, but you need to connect to nature. You can also just have more baths if you have access to a washcloth, but if you have access to a washcloth, what even is that? I meant a bathtub. Just want to validate that it seems like it's been a very painful time for you. And I think that you need to validate that for yourself, because I think a lot of people, I think that is what's blocking you, is hyper focus on work, and you need to get into a hermit mode and spend time nurturing this, all the feelings that are coming up from everything that you're avoiding and everything that's been motivating all the things that you are doing. It doesn't mean that what you have been doing is right to validate it, but the emotions that have been moving your body to make the choices that you're making are real, and you don't need to have all the answers every time a memory comes up, or every time you pray. You don't have to pray the right thing. It's a process.